Well, folks, I have some good news for you. It turns out the world hasn't gone completely mad quite yet. Now, John Cleese is apparently putting on a stage production of Life of Brian, the Monty Python classic. And there have been rumors going around that he was being forced to cut an offensive scene from Life of Brian, the famous Loretta scene.
Why are you always on about women, Stan?
I want to be one.
What?
I want to be a woman. From now on, I want you all to call me Loretta.
What?
It's my right as a man.
Well, why do you want to be Loretta, Stan?
I want to have babies.
You want to have babies?
It's every man's right to have babies if he wants them.
But you can't have babies.
Don't you oppress me.
I'm not oppressing you, Stan. You haven't got a womb. Where's the fetus going to gestate? You're going to keep it in a box?
Here, I've got an idea. Suppose you agree that he can't actually have babies, not having a womb, which is nobody's fault, not even the Romans, but that he can have the right to have babies.
Good idea, Judith. We shall fight the oppressors for your right to have babies, brother. Sister, sorry. What's the point? What? What's the point of fighting for his right to have babies when he can't have babies? It is symbolic of our struggle against oppression.
Symbolic of his struggle against reality.
So, that was from 1979, back when it was okay to make fun of the obviously ridiculous. And it's actually amazing how prescient that scene is, isn't it? Especially that line at the end there. It's symbolic of our struggle against oppression, because that's how it's all framed now. Everybody's oppressed except for one very specific demographic, and you know who that is. Hint, it looks exactly like Alan Thicke. But in any case, there had been a rumor that John Cleese was being forced to cut that from the Life of Brian stage play because of modern times, because of current year. And it turns out that's not true. Thank God that's not true. Because if that had been true, I mean, at that point, I'm willing to just give up, all right? Just go live in a cave somewhere with the collected works of the Marquis de Sade, because humanity just wouldn't be worth it anymore. But thank goodness I don't have to do that, because it's not true. Monty Python's Life of Brian will not be censored, despite rumors. That's coming from John Cleese himself. And here, talking about this rumor, he tweeted, and that all the actors, several of them Tony winners, had advised me strongly to cut the Loretta scene. So he'd been advised by the actors to cut the scene because of course, current year. He writes, I have, of course, no intention of doing so. But he continues, so someone in the audience had called a journalist and misreported me. Amazingly, none of the British media called to check. I actually don't think it's amazing that the British media didn't call to check. I think it would have been amazing if they had. They're either trying to just push a narrative or get clicks. So, not shocking. Here's another tweet from John Cleese on this subject. He said, that was what was so surprising. These were absolutely top-class Broadway performers, and they were adamant that we would not get away with doing the scene in New York City. I asked them, are Python fans not going to come because we're doing a scene they've been laughing at for 40 years? Yes, and this is a thing. The people that would be offended are a small fringe minority. They're certainly not the mass of Monty Python fans. I mean, for the modern leftist, for the modern far-left authoritarian, cutting one scene from a Monty Python movie, yeah, that's not going to do it.
Good afternoon, sir, and how are we today?
Better.
Better?
Better get a bucket. I'm going to throw up.
Gaston, a bucket for monsieur.
And he also tweeted this. Producers tend to be scaredy cats, and they don't remember that the protests in New York City when Brian was released meant we never needed to do publicity. That's right, because the outrage was the publicity. That's back in 1979. And so if there is any controversy about this, it's only going to help the production because the people that complain were never going to go see it in the first place. And a bunch of people who might actually see it will hear about it that maybe wouldn't have otherwise. And quite frankly, if you're going to piss these people off, I feel like you've kind of got a moral duty to piss these people off as well. And you can't tell me it wouldn't feel good. And I kind of feel like in the movie, they might have covered some of the absurdity of radical ideologues, possibly. Who knows? But it would have been truly shocking had Cleese cut that scene, because he has been actually fairly vocal about wokeness. In 2022, he said, "I think it's particularly worrying at the moment because you can only create an atmosphere of freedom when you're not checking everything you say critically before you move on. That's why the left isn't funny anymore. Anything slightly edgy is way too much of a risk." And they try to pretend to be edgy by making just gross jokes or trying to, push the abortion joke as far as it can go. It's all stuff that's actually become quite boring and tired. And that's because it's totally safe. In their world, it's totally safe. It's totally predictable, and it's totally boring. But in any case, I think the Western world should thank John Cleese for not being a coward and not giving in, and perhaps more young comedians should follow his example. Anyway, please subscribe, like, and share. Sharing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.